into the lower hall this morning to feed the dog, Peter, who was whining on the staircase. Mrs. Pitman was coming down, pale and agitated over the fact that the dog, shortly before, had found floating in the parlor downstairs a slipper belonging to Mrs. Ladley, and later a knife with a broken blade. She maintains that she had a knife last night upstairs, that it was not broken, and that it was taken from a shelf in her room while she dozed. The question is then, why was the knife taken? Who took it, and why? Has this man made away with his wife, or has he not? Mr. Howell looked at me and smiled. "Mr. Holcombe and I are old enemies," he said. "Mr. Holcombe believes that circumstantial evidence may probably hang a man. I do not. And to Mr. Holcombe, so, having found a wet slipper and a broken knife, you are prepared for murder and sudden death." "I have more evidence," Mr. Holcombe said eagerly, and proceeded to tell what he had found in the room. Mr. Howell listened, smiling to himself, but at the mention of the onyx clock he got up and went to the mantel. "By Jove!" he said, and stood looking at the mark in the dust. "Are you sure the clock was here yesterday?" "I wound it night before last, and put the key underneath. Yesterday, before they moved up, I wound it again." "The key is gone also. Well, what of it, Holcombe? Did he brain her with the clock, or choke her with the key?" Mr. Holcombe was looking at his notebook. "To summarize," he said, "we have here as clues indicating a crime the rope, the broken knife, the slipper, the towel, and the clock. Besides, this scrap of paper may contain some information." He opened it and sat gazing at it in his palm. Then, "Is this Ladley's writing?" he asked me in a curious voice. "Yes." I glanced at the slip. Mr. Holcombe had just read from his notebook. "Rope, knife, slipper, towel, clock." The slip I had found behind the washstand said rope, knife, shoe, towel, horn. The rest of the last word was torn off. Mr. Howell was staring at the mantel. "Clock," he repeated. End of chapter 3.